How's it going, Trips? It's been a while, a couple of months since my last video, and clearly if you've been on the channel before, you will have known the sort of circumstances where I've moved house because I've changed my job. I'm still in the army, but I've got a posting, so I'm now an instructor down in Sandhurst, the Royal Military Academy, which you're going to see a little bit more of in a minute. And with that, I had to move house down south. First big move with a bigger family as such, so they've all had, they've changed in schools and all the rest of it. So navigating all that plus finding my feet in my actual job resulted in me just not maybe paying this too much attention to this kind of stuff. I have been quiet on here, but in my quietness I've been learning a new skill, and that is this kind of stuff here, FPV droning, so first person view drones. And a really quick insight into what they are is this is a first person drone. This is a DJi. Basically a normal DJi, I haven't got one with me now, is your traditional photo drone. They just go up, down, left and right, forward and back, and that's about it. FPV drone then, basically this completely can mimic exactly what a bird does. So any like sort of tight gaps on how, just the whole different flying experience is completely different. Plus you also don't use a screen, you have to use a set of goggles. So in these goggles here, when I put them on, anything the camera's seeing, I'm seeing. So that's how you fly and navigate this. This is a DJi one, which we're going to be flying today. I'm not going too much about the specs and all the rest of it because you'll not be interested in it. But the other stuff that I'll do is your traditional FPV stuff. Now they've been more apparent and you would have seen them in Ukraine, used to really, really good effect. And I'll put a video up of, sort of images up of some of the ones, one of the ones I've built at home. Same thing, I'll use the same goggles, but I'll use a bigger radio to fly that because it has better reception and can send it further. And then if you're doing like your sort of cinematic flying, you'd maybe stick an action camera like this to the top of it, because this little smaller camera that you use to navigate won't be as good. And that's for cinematic flying. But in a tactical sort of army sense, clearly you don't care about cinematic flying. It's when you can maybe potentially got a payload on there or something else. And the reason why I think it's a good skill set to have is quite clearly our brothers in arms over in Ukraine have proven that it's a good skill to have, and this is not my terminology which I'm about to use. I don't know who coined this, but if you've got military experience, you'll have heard the term fieldcraft. So that's like you're outside living, basically living out in the field, cooking in the field, surviving out in the field, and anything to do with when you're outside, it's your fieldcraft. There's this new thing, I don't know who's coined it. I'm not sure, I need to find out for you. The tech craft. So this is where we're now living in a new era. Well, I think the big thing that I noticed was whenever the whole Ukraine sort of war have kicked off, the invasion of Ukraine, you should have seen that picture of a Ukrainian soldier in a trench, and then someone else put another picture beside it of a soldier of some sort in World War I, and put them both, well, obviously the World War I picture was in black and white, but put the Ukrainian picture in black and white as well. And unless you really sort of squinted and seen the different sort of kit and equipment and rifles being used, you could have maybe thought they were both from World War I. And that's where we're at, this kind of like merge now with technology, where all like the traditional skills and drills of being a soldier, being fit and robust, resilient, surviving in trenches, all that kind of stuff is more like poignant today than it's ever been. But now you have this sort of amalgamation of new technology with that old style stuff, that traditional style of fighting and how we operate. And to me, it's kind of like, as a nerd, a self-professed nerd, that's kind of like gets you kind of cool, where it's that kind of like mix up between like the future and history. That's where I think we are now, like living in that kind of like, we're still operating in the field, but then we're starting to do all this kind of technology in it as well. Right, enough ganching, let's get this off into the air. Hey. And record. Right, I'm also going to angle the camera down slightly. So the lower you have it, I'm going to angle it up. The higher you angle the camera, the faster it will be, because you need to tilt the drone forward to be able to see, and obviously the more you tilt the drone forward, the faster it's going to move. I'll zip past myself as in the actual real self now. That is on full send. Very silent now because I'm in full concentration mode. Do you know what I mean? Like, how scary that would be if you're in a flipping shell scrape. The amount of people who are in shell scrapes, like, who get stuttered when someone walks towards them, never mind this coming at you like 30-40 mile an hour. And bear in mind, the one I built, the traditional one, it can get up to the speeds of like 110 mile an hour. On this tree. Whew. I can tell you what as well, let's come at it from a tactical aspect, like just the actual sheer piloting aspect of it, like that gets the adrenaline going, even though I'm not sitting on the actual drone. There's something about it. Yeah, I'm coming at 50 mile an hour there. Oh! Oh! Would you look at that? That was a crash. Jen, I can't believe that's still flying. I cannot believe that's still flying. If that was a traditional FPV drone, that was me dead. And that's why I'm saying, like, techcraft, why we should be able to be able to build them as well. I'm gonna bring the camera angle down. Like, genuinely, for people here who have no idea about FPV drones, that was 100% I should have been dead there. Like, bring us in for a land. In you come. Collision detected. Check propellers carefully. If propellers are damaged or cracked, replace propellers before flying again. That's the safety message it got. Let's see if it survived. Like, nothing's cut, as in like nothing's broken that I can see. It stinks of grass, so it's got loads like grass and stuff cut into it. Like, how that is still flying after, like, quite slowly there by that sort of crash. That definitely was a crash. How robust they can be, and you think about, so that whole setup I've got now is about £1,000. But if you get the traditional FPV stuff, you're talking maybe like 150, 200 quid for your controller. Your headset, it's like the one with the most amount of money. You're probably talking 500-600 or so quid for the headset, but they're like your two buys. You're not going to change them all the time. The actual drone itself, I don't know what this is now because it's bought as a combo, but the traditional ones that I'm talking about, which I show pictures of, you know, you can build that for like 200 quid, 300 quid. Now, if you think about that in the grand scheme of things as being used within a unit or something, like, that cost is nothing. If you're like using them as, I wouldn't really use maybe this as a reconnaissance drone, use more like a harassing drone. But if you try and think of maybe, I don't know what the cost is off the top of my head, but of a Javelin rocket compared to what of one of them drones, it's like a win-win when you're talking about trying to save money but also have an effect on the battlefield. It's pretty cool. And how I would probably really see these drones being used is, in my eyes, maybe in a unit, it's no different, I say, like snipers. So not the sniper, the skill, but I think someone who's going to be an FPV pilot clearly needs to have a little bit something in between their ears to go and learn how to engineer them, build them, being able to do that not in a nice warm workshop, but like out here, out in the field, under a poncho, that kind of stuff, being able to like solder stuff and make quick repairs and get it back onto there. Have an understanding about jamming, so signal jamming, because you'll have to sort of navigate that between getting around jamming, because obviously people can jam the radio signals, and then navigation, you've got to be able to go to navigate. So if you're just a little small FPV team, navigating towards you need to be, and then map rec in where you need to go, and then go, because you couldn't really use, this does have GPS and stuff into it, but in the tactical way you couldn't use GPS and stuff because then you could be tracked, and then obviously that brings a whole lot of other problems for you as in the operator. So I definitely think it's a really cool thing to it's a good time to be serving, because all this kind of stuff is being brought in. But yeah, we'll see. But this is now going to look like this kind of channel, like a merge between green stuff, so in work, and like in the civvy stuff, and around that kind of stuff. And you can still get stuff out of it, because you'll get to see what it's like serving, and maybe a bit what it's like behind the scenes of serving, because quite a lot of you just want to get up and join and stuff, and potentially people might be thinking like, I want to join and actually go the long haul. Well, if you go the long haul, there's a very high possibility you might start a family and all the rest of it. So it's just kind of showing you like what it's like to actually live in the army, because it's not a job, it's a lifestyle. Once again, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you got something from this video, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next one. See you in a bit.